Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Shahab and welcome back to our series on From Maps to AI Agents. If you watched the previous video, we talked about some interesting things like AI models, AI tools, and some philosophical aspects of using AI. And I also mentioned two of the approaches that I personally use to make sure that I can actively keep learning and also keep up with these advances. I talked about the early method and also the encyclopedia mindset that both have really helped me keep myself in the loop of these very weird moments, maybe because things are going so fast and sometimes it's very difficult to catch up with different advances. In this video, we're gonna start implementing our chatbot. I'm really excited about this because we're gonna start doing this, and then later we're gonna add tools to it, make it more powerful and so useful and modern and agentic. So let's see how we can do this in this video. You will also learn about the server-side parts of a Nextjs application. How can we structure that and what are the different considerations? So a lot of great things are going to happen in this video. But before doing anything, let's look at the new look of our app and the new chatbot that we have added, and then we'll dive into the code and see how we can implement it. So you see that I added some small things to make the UI, the app, more user friendly. I added this banner. For now, we keep it. Later, as we go on, we just refine it, improve it. And I also improved the design of our menu dock in here. As you see, made it more professional. And things are now more beautiful, as you see in here. And now we also have our chatbot. So it's our chatbot that we have developed using Vercel AI SDK. So it's working fine. So hi, how's it going? So you see that it provides the results very quickly. And something else which is really cool is that tell me more about this platform. So as it's streaming, I can stop it and the stream stops, which is amazing. So it's really useful, and you'll see that as we add more capabilities to it, it becomes more user-friendly and more powerful. And we're gonna also fix the markdown problems in here to make it more beautiful in the next video. But again, we're gonna start very basic, and then we're gonna iterate and improve it. So let's go to the code and see what are the things that we have done to get these results. Let's look at our project and see what we have. But before that, let me go back to this board and talk very, very shortly about the backend system in a Nextjs app. So in a Nextjs app, you can have both the backend and front end covered. So this is a great feature because you don't need to use, for example, another framework, another programming language for your backend, and you can still use JavaScript or TypeScript and do everything front-end and backend within Nextjs, which is amazing, and that's why Nextjs is so popular in the community. So the front-end is using React.js, and the backend is using a very fast backend system, server side system that was developed by Vercel in Nextjs, and that's very fast and has simplified a lot of complex components for users. So that's the main reason that these days people love to use Nextjs. It's because of the simplicity, the speed, and also the integration that it has for both the front end and the back end. So let's see how this works for our chatbot, because in our chatbot now we have to have a backend system, and I will tell you why. Okay, so let's go to the app folder, and you see that now we have an API folder that contains a chat folder, and inside that chat folder we have a file called route.ts. So this is the server-side part of a Nextjs app, or in this case, our chatbot. So you see that we have a couple of lines, and you see we have an HTTP method in it, which is a post. And I will tell you why is it like that. And then we have the main functionality of our chatbot. So it's inside this route.ts, and one thing that you should note is that whenever that you want to add a server-side component in your app, which is the API in this case, any API, it should have that very fixed name, route.ts or JS. Otherwise, it will not be considered as an API in a Nextjs application. So that's something that you should take into account. But what is it that we have in here in this server side or in this API route? This is where we actually communicate with the, in this case, OpenAI, ChatGPT or GPT servers. And this is when we ask a question and send our question to or query to the ChatGPT or OpenAI servers, and then the model receives them and sends us the response. Okay, so this is the medium that, or this is a way that we can communicate with OpenAI large language models. And as I said in the first or second video, we are using Vercel AI SDK for that. And that's what you see here. So the library AI is actually Vercel AI SDK. And we're using the OpenAI provider in it because we're using GPT models. And we also define some max duration. Max duration is the maximum time that you expect the response is streamed. So this is a way that you can control how much should be the time that a response actually takes. So you can limit that. And we need to have a post method, HTTP request or method, because we're sending something and then we receive the response. So we receive the response as a message, as you can see here. So we destructure it. It contains, the JSON contains a message property, and then as you see here, the result is or the message is sent, or the messages that we send to the system are sent to the servers in OpenAI. So that's how it works. And then we use the GPT 4.1 for that. And then here we receive the results. So the response that we receive actually is stored in the result. And then we return it as a data stream response. And this is a structure that actually sends the responses we get from the AI model in chunks or in streams. And the streaming is like this. So tell me more, for example, and you see that the text is sent, or the responses by the AI are sent in chunks, or they are streaming. That's how it's controlled in here. So this is the server side part. And you may ask, okay, Shah, why do we need to have it a server side? The reason is that we need to have it server side because we should use an API key for that, and there are also some other reasons. And the API key should be in a very secure, safe place, because if not, others can use it, and then that's gonna be bad. So if you go to the env.example, so in my env local file, I have the OpenAI API key set. So because we're using the Vercel AI SDK, it automatically identifies that there is an open or API key from OpenAI that is in the environmental variable file, and then it uses that one. So check out the Vercel AI SDK. So that's, let me go to Vercel AI SDK, and in here you can see the documentation. It has a great documentation, different providers that can be used, Google, OpenAI, Grok, and some of the ones on AWS. So check it out if you want to learn more about AI, the Vercel AI SDK. Okay, so this is now the backend, but in the front end, now if I go to feature, we have added an AI assistant. And our AI assistant has an AI chat. You saw how we can set up the server side, and now we need to set up the front end or client side. And the main part is how we can get the responses that the AI assistant sends us, and how we can actually send our questions or messages to the AI chatbot or large language model. So everything happens in this component. So you see that we have something called use chat. So this is coming from the Vercel AI SDK, and this is how we can send messages, receive messages, and interact with the large language model. So you see that we here introduce where is the API route, where is actually our server side in our application, and it's under API and chat. So this is where our route is located in here. Okay, so all the questions, everything that is sent to the server side follows that route that we specify in here. We also set an initial message. So the initial message is something that may come also from your database or somewhere else, or from the history. It doesn't matter. This is just something that you initially want the AI assistant to show and get. So you can set it in here. We also set a role for it, assistant in this case, because this is the assistant. It's not necessary to have it in here at all, but this is something that you can do. So anything else in here? Yes, we have the messages. These are the messages, both our messages and the messages that the AI assistant sends us. Okay, and they are structured differently. So in the next video, I will show you the structure of the messages. It's really interesting, and knowing the structure and how this object, this messages object, has been created is really helpful when you are going to add, for example, tools to your system. So the AI assistant also controls the tools and runs them if needed. So knowing that is important. We'll learn about that in the next video. And the input and handling input, these are the ways that the user interacts. For example, what should happen when the user types something and then sends it to the AI assistant in this case. And then we have the handle submit. Okay, so what should happen when the message should be sent. So this is when that we enter for sending the message, or we just clicked on the send button in our chatbot. So this means that now the messages that the user has made ready can be sent. So something like that. And we have the other components here, subcomponents of the header, the message list, and the chat input. This is actually a good way of structuring your app and making sure that different components are not inside one big file. Otherwise, maintaining big files is going to be very, very difficult over time as you scale your application. So always try to break huge files into smaller files, so that improves the maintainability of your application over time. At first, it doesn't feel like something important, but after maybe several thousand lines of code, you will see that no, it was really important. So the chat header is actually this part of the application. So maybe it doesn't seem like we need to break it into a separate file, but this is just a practice. Okay, we may change it later. You can put it inside some other parts of your component, but for now, just to show you how it can be done, we just broke it into a different file. And then we have the message list here that you can see in here. So if I go in here, you see the message list. Okay, so that's how it works. And then we have the chat input, and we also have some handlers for that. What happens if we close the chatbot, and also when we want to submit a chat or send a message, what should happen? These can be found in different components that we have in here. So check them out. Nothing really complex. You see that everything is structured in a very organized manner for you. And the chat messages, the chat message is actually containing the, you see that something interesting that I want to show you in here is the structure of the messages that we receive and send to the Vercel AI SDK. So in the next video, it's not complex right now to show you how it works, but when we integrate our tools, geospatial tools, with the chatbot, you'll see that you need to understand the structure of the messages, something called the messages in Vercel AI SDK. And you can see we have a type that is coming, it's called message, and it's coming from the Vercel AI SDK. This type is really important to understand the structure of the responses that you'll get from the AI SDK. So one of the things that this message contains is the role. So who is sending, who is receiving. So the user messages have a role of user, and the assistant messages or AI messages have assistant role. So this is a way that you can actually differentiate from the user messages from assistant messages and then control them. For example, you want to change the color of the system messages, or you want to change the effects of receiving or streaming in the AI messages. So these are the things that you can control in here using this structure. And then the message list that you can see in here, again, we use user. You see that we differentiate user from the assistant messages. So this is also another part of this puzzle. And we also use, as you saw, we also use something called auto scrolling. So as the different chunks of the AI messages are streamed, the scroll goes down automatically. So this is, again, for making things more user-friendly, nothing really special. And we also have a file which is quite useful and important, and that's called constants. So what are constants? So there are some things in your app that you don't change them that much. So you want them to be in some place that you can easily, if you want to change them or know from where they are coming, and it also helps with debugging. So for that, in a Nextjs app, or sorry, in any web development app or some other languages or projects in different frameworks, having such a file is really important, and that's called constants. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. We installed some new libraries in this or packages for this video. One of them was the OpenAI SDK, Vercel AI SDK. So for each provider in the Vercel AI SDK, you need to install the provider separately. For example, OpenAI, Google, some other ones, you need to install them separately. In this video, we just use the OpenAI. If you want to, you can use other providers. Just check out the Vercel AI SDK documentation to see how you can use other models. And also, for one of the things which is really important, maybe for some user-friendly aspects of our app, we used Framer Motion. So we learn about Framer Motion is really important when I talk about the design of the apps that you can have to improve the experience of your users. Framer Motion is really popular and it's used, but not that much, to be honest, but very small, insignificant use of Framer Motion can improve the user experience. So we're gonna use that maybe for some parts later, but check out to see how we are using that in our doc menu and some other things. I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the next video, we're gonna add more capability to our app and to our chatbot, and we're also going to add some of the tools to the chatbot, so the chatbot will have access to some of the tools that we have implemented before. So if you're interested, if you want to learn more, make sure to subscribe and don't miss the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.